Could you introduce yourself to us, please?
My name's Eddie Kelly and I'm the current principal of Our Lady Secondary School in Castleblaney.
How long are you principal of Our Lady Secondary School?
I became principal of Our Lady Secondary School in September 2014, so this is my 8th year as principal.
What was your background in education before becoming principal?
I was a history teacher here in the school, and one of the things I actually missed when becoming principal was that day-to-day interaction with the students in the classroom. My first year as principal, I actually taught the 6th-year history students, 6th-year history class group, and at the end of the year I probably realised that it wasn't going to work out, that it wasn't fair on the students and it wasn't fair on myself. Before that, I worked for Monaghan Youth Federation as part of an early school leavers consortium. My job was to provide support and assistance to students and families at risk of leaving school early. And I suppose at a young age that gave me a valuable insight into the many difficulties and problems facing certain students and families, and something I always try to carry with me into the classroom and into my role as principal. Can be very difficult at times given the demands and the busyness of the job, but something that I always try to remember was the difficulties facing students and their families, and that a little bit of kindness, empathy and compassion goes a very long way.
Why did you want to become principal of Our Lady Secondary School?
That's a very good question, Emer. My predecessor, Jerry McGill, retired in 2014. At the particular time, becoming principal of a school and becoming principal of this school definitely would have been on my radar. Whether I wanted to do it become principal at such a young age, I wasn't entirely sure. I was approached at the time by a number of people on staff and a number of people in the local community who'd have huge respect for, and those people asked me would I consider throwing my hat in the ring and going for principal. So I suppose that planted the seed. I gave it some thought. At that particular time I was involved in coaching the local senior team here in the town. I was also involved in doing a little bit of coaching with Monaghan under 21s, and the GAA would be a big labour of love for me. So obviously being the possibility of being principal of a school and balancing the demands that would be involved in running a school this size along with commitments and coaching outside the school was something that I will have to give huge consideration to. But once the seed was planted, give it some serious thought, put my best foot forward in the recruitment process, and was absolutely delighted when the Board of Management offered me the position at the end of the interview process. So I suppose go back and answer your original question, why did I want to become principal of the school? Listen, I would have got an awful lot here from the school as a student and particularly as a teacher. Listen, I love the school, and I suppose the next obvious step for me was from teaching in the school, moving into leading and managing a school that you care so much for.
What have you found most challenging about your time as principal of Our Lady Secondary School?
Without a doubt, the biggest challenge for me as principal has been trying to manage the school through the COVID-19 pandemic. I think it was March 2019, school closed. We moved to online learning. We had to set up systems and structures for students, for staff, had to support staff, students and parents in navigating the same. You're into then to not only supporting but trying to manage and monitor student engagement in their online learning, staff engagement with online learning, and dealing with any issues and queries, problems and concerns that arose out of the same. That was the first year of the Leaving Certificate Accredited Grades process, and all of this was new, and you were trying to adapt and change as well as dealing with everything else that comes up with the busy day-to-day running of a school like this. At the same time, you were dealing with the constant questions: will schools reopen? When will they reopen? So when schools eventually did get the go ahead to reopen, you were dealing with everything around that. So for us here in Our Ladies, it involved huge changes to the structure and routine of the school day. We moved from 40-minute classes to 58-minute classes. We now would split breaks, split lunches, students and staff wearing masks in schools, following department guidelines in relation to COVID-19 protocol. And again, all of that on top of dealing with everything else, curriculum changes, Garda vetting, child protection. It was huge demands on not only my time, but demands on the senior management team and all staff and all key stakeholders in the school. And I suppose the biggest thing in doing all of that, you're also trying to manage staff's concerns and students' concerns in relation to, and very real and genuine concerns, might I add, in relation to health issues, while I suppose trying to do the same from a family perspective. Thankfully there's light at the end of the tunnel now. Schools and society seem to be moving back to some sort of normality. Masks are gone, extracurricular activities are back up and running. We've a proper Leaving Cert scheduled for this year, so thankfully there is light at the end of the tunnel. And I suppose just to use this opportunity to thank all of the key stakeholders, the Board of Management, the Parents Association, the staff, the students, the department and the trustees for all of their support, because that support made my job that little bit easier in managing the school through that very difficult challenge.
What are your main memories of your time as principal of Our Lady Secondary School?
Thankfully, during this past 8 years as principal, the school has given me many wonderful memories, the vast majority of which are linked to student achievement, student development and student progress. We'll start with academic scholarships, too numerous to mention, to various third level institutions over this past 8 years. Just on Tuesday of this week I was in UCD with 6 past pupils for Entrance Scholars Awards, so they're always an extremely positive occasion. Many regional and national successes in subject-related competitions. You're looking at science, you're looking at music, you're looking at art, you're looking at business, and indeed any time you're in the gym or the concert hall or anywhere else listening to the choir, it's an extremely uplifting occasion. Our biannual school musical are always huge events, extremely positive, always very successful, and as principal, a huge source of pride to me when you're standing overneath this and you're watching students perform to the best of their ability on the stage. The Leaving Cert graduation mass, and always a very important highlight and special date in the school calendar, and one that we've really missed this past 2 years. Then you're moving into sport. You're looking at, again, regional and national success in sport, particularly GAA. This year we've all our girls teams playing at A level in Ulster Schools football, and for the first time we've 3 of the boys teams playing at A level, so fantastic working on there. Looking at basketball, school has a wonderful tradition in basketball, and thankfully that tradition's alive and well. Our first and second year boys and girls teams both reached All-Ireland playoffs this year, so that augurs well for the future. And then in athletics, we had another first this year with a transition year student, Hazel Hughes, representing Ireland in the International Schools cross country a number of weeks back. The Cycle Against Suicide event in 2014 was another powerful occasion, a whole school and whole community effort that again ranks up there with highlights. And I suppose travelling to New York in 2018 with a group of TY students as part of an international law module was a highlight as well. But I suppose if I was to think back, one of my main memories relates to a student who did his Leaving Cert in 2018. And there's this perception out there that this school's that it's a very academic school and you have to be a certain type of student to go to this school. And I suppose, as I referenced earlier with the scholarships, the academic record of this school speaks for itself, but I'd like to think that students of all levels and all abilities achieve above and beyond the potential. And when I was actually teaching history, there was a student, and people would know we have 3 classes here in the school that cater for students with mild and moderate general learning difficulties, and I had a student who was actually teaching a second year class at the time that caters for those type of students with the mild and moderate general learning difficulties, and there was a student with a particular interest in a subject area. So I consulted with Miss Traynor, who was the SEN coordinator at the time, and that particular student moved into a mainstream history class in second year. Towards the end of second year, that student ended up doing 4 subjects at junior cert level the following year, and did 6 subjects at Leaving Certificate level in 2018, 3 of those subjects at higher level. And at a reward ceremony at the end of the year, that student was nominated for the subject award in 2 of those subjects at the end of the year, and was also nominated for Student of the Year. The student is currently in DKIT studying an arts degree, so seeing that student on the stage was a huge source of pride for me, and for me it brought home the reason why I want to be principal of this school. And it shows that if anybody buys into the unique culture and ethos that we have in this school, that culture of care, compassion and support and doing your best, that the sky's the limit.
What are your plans for the school moving forward?
The senior leadership and management team, myself, Mr Bishop and Ms Traynor, we're part of a wider school strategic planning committee. So the School Strategic Planning Committee and the Board of Management would regularly review all aspects of school life. And I suppose in the medium to short term, we're looking at our new 13 classroom extension, which is currently underway and due for opening in February 2023, comprising of 9 general classrooms, 2 science labs in a preparation area, an art room in a preparation area, and a technology room and preparation area. And I suppose just over the next X amount of years that I'm lucky enough to be in this job, just to work with all of the key stakeholders, the board of management, the department, the trustees, staff, parents and students, to give students the best possible learning experience here in Our Lady's, and to give them as many opportunities and as much care and support as possible to develop their interests, their skills and their talents, both inside and outside the classroom. The school has had a fantastic last 50 years, and please God, hopefully the next 50 years will be as successful as the last.